Oh, you know about DOGE, but do you know anything about DOGE? Oh, yeah, the Democrats have come up with their own little department. It's called Democrats Against Government Efficiency. And that's all they're showing right now in a hearing happening at this moment on Capitol Hill, trying to stop Elon Musk and the DOGE folks from actually making the government more efficient. Why am I hearing myself? Oh, sorry about that. I had a tab open. We're going to show you everything going on in that hearing in just a moment. I'm easily distracted. Also, yesterday, Elon Musk did something extraordinary in the Oval Office. If you missed it, we're going to show it to you. It really is breathtaking. And CNN is completely broken, beyond repair, and Democrats have lost their mind. That's what we're going to get into right now. Brought to you by Birch Gold. My name's Larry O'Connor, and you can call me Larry. Thanks for watching, thanks for liking, and thanks for subscribing, and thanks for just being you. Participate in our chat. Please interact with your fellow Larryzens, citizens of Larryville. Say hey to like-minded individuals, whatever streaming platform you're watching us on right now. We love them all, and we hope that you enjoy the camaraderie in our chat room and live comment section. And if you're watching us after the fact, come on in and watch us live. We do this at noon Eastern every single day, except the days we don't. But thanks for watching either way. You've seen the news from economists forecasting a depression, not a recession, a depression by the year 2030. Why? Well, because we got a perfect storm of Social Security and Medicare hitting a breaking point with the largest generation hitting retirement, and then a smaller workforce, meaning a smaller tax base. You add that to the growing national debt and then the rising cost of living, and, well, it's a big problem. And there's a lot of it that's out of your control. But what is in your control? What you do now to protect your family for the future. Gold can be a safe haven in hard economic times, and Birch Gold makes it easy to diversify a portion of your savings into physical gold. Birch Gold can help you transition an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. Protect your future right now. Text Larry, my name, Larry, L-A-R-R-Y, to 989898. Get your free info kit on gold and a copy of the Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era, with a foreword written by Donald Trump Jr. That's free. There's no obligation, only information. Text my name, Larry, L-A-R-R-Y, to 989898. Do it today. Well, DOGE is all the rage around Washington, D.C. right now. And when I say rage, I mean Republicans, conservatives, Trump supporters, and most Americans are thrilled to see this little band of merry men led by Elon Musk uncovering the really dark secrets of what our government has been funding around the world in our name with our tax dollars, the inefficiency in which they're doing it, and just flat out corruption and criminality. That's all the rage for many of us. For the Democrats who are trying to protect that permanent bureaucracy, well, it's a rage to them because they're raging in blinded fury over it, and they're doing whatever they can to stop the revelations that we're all seeing on a daily basis. Today, there is a hearing for the House committee that supports this progress, and Democrats have decided to basically get in the way. Here's one of the members, Congressman Garcia, on MSNBC this morning, basically saying just that.
I want to bring in someone to the conversation who very much wants those questions answered and posed to the courts. Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia of California. He's a member of the new DOGE subcommittee in the House, which is set to actually hold its first hearing at the top of the hour. And so to that end, Congressman, I've got two questions for you. One that might seem a little procedural, but first, do you guys have, as Democrats in the minority on this committee, meaningful subpoena power here?
Well, look, we've tried. And I think that this committee and our larger oversight committee have even tried to get Elon Musk to come to testify. That's been blocked by the Republicans. Right. And so a lot of that's being negotiated still. But as of right now, we're prepared today to go in and ask and answer some really tough questions. We want to see Elon Musk, but we're also going to call out the corruption. We're going to call out the fact that we have essentially an unelected billionaire with almost as much power as the president of the United States. And I think we're going to bring the fire today. And so I think even though we don't have all the power that we would like, we're going to use every minute that we are given at this hearing to call out the corruption, the lies, and I think we're going to bring the fire today.
There's some that may question why Democrats are participating in a committee like this if Republicans are cutting you off at the pass with subpoena power, and wondering if y'all being on committees like this doesn't validate or normalize the work of DOGE, which is certainly going about in anything but normal capacity here as it tries to basically rip out root and stem various parts of government, even agencies themselves. What would you say to folks like that?
Yeah, I would say that first, I have zero interest working with Marjorie Taylor Greene, our chairwoman on this committee, or the House Republicans on this committee to help them with anything as it relates to DOGE. What we're there for and what we're there to do is to fight, to push back on the lies, to bring attention to what's going on right now at our agencies, and to make sure that people know that we are going to fight every single day to ensure that we get Elon Musk out of our private information. So it's important that we are there. Look, if we weren't there, they would have the entire committee essentially to themselves. But let's make no mistake about it. We are not going to be working with the House majority, and we're certainly not going to be working with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think folks today are going to see us get really engaged and ask really tough questions.
So there you go. He admits openly that his job there is to disrupt and cause chaos and to fight every step of the way, not to participate. See, understand something. At least he's being honest about it. He's representing the Democrats on that committee today, Robert Garcia, who, by the way, has been in Congress all of 25 months, representing Central Los Angeles. He says that his job there is to stand against government efficiency. It's the last thing we want. Don't you dare reveal the corruption and inefficiency in our federal government. Don't you dare let the taxpayers know how their money's being spent and wasted. No, no, no. We're Democrats. We're against that. By the way, one beautiful little moment here, if you watch, he's in the Cannon office building there right across the street. And just watch in the background because the most important person on this committee is about to walk by. Somebody is, there he is. Yeah, that man with the garbage can. Yeah, Congressman Garcia, give your resume to that guy. He'll know exactly what to do with it. Okay, that was beautiful. So he left his little MSNBC appearance, swearing that he'll be the resistance, swearing that he's there to sow chaos, that he's there to fight. That's his role here when it comes to government efficiency. He walked through the tunnel because it's snowing out and very cold in DC. So he walked underground in the tunnel, went to his I believe this committee room is not in the Capitol. He didn't even have to go in the tunnel. He went down the hall in the Cannon office building to his committee room and subsequently did just that. This is Democrat Robert Garcia of California, 42nd District, but honestly, pretty much represents every Democrat in Congress right now. This was his contribution to the efforts to root out corruption, waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government. Let's watch.
I find it ironic, of course, that our chairwoman, Congresswoman Greene, is in charge of running this committee. Now, in the last Congress, Chairwoman Greene literally showed a dick pic in our oversight congressional hearing. So I thought I'd bring one as well. Now, this, of course, we know is President Elon Musk. He's also the world's richest man. He was the biggest political donor in the last election.
Get it? That's his dick pic. Something tells me Congressman Garcia knows a thing or two about dick pics. This is the Democrats' contribution to this process. I'm going to show a dick pic in this committee hearing. Here's Elon Musk. Ha ha! That was actually not even the cringiest part of Congressman Garcia's presentation. Wait till you see this one.
We also know, of course, that Elon Musk is sending his unqualified DOGE staff to carry out this agenda across all of these agencies. And in some cases, actually teenage staffers. No accountability, no experience, and problematic records. They're trying to rob you, and they're probably a minor. Thank you, and I yield back.
You know, only a Democrat from Los Angeles would actually try to draw a Kendrick Lamar reference to try to be a cool kid in the committee, which was super cringe, didn't land, pretty much a groaner. And oh, by the way, pal, everyone hated that halftime show. So if you're going to reference something and try to be one of the cool hip kids with pop culture references, you might want to pick something that at least everybody liked. I hate myself for even knowing that reference, frankly. By the way, Mr. Garcia is super experienced himself. After all, he was a member of the Long Beach City Council before he became a congressman, representing Long Beach all the way up to central Los Angeles. All right, that's okay. There was more on the committee today. We now move from that embarrassment, Robert Garcia and his dick pic and Kendrick Lamar references, to the real superstar of the Democrats, the woman I have no doubt will be on people's short list for Democrat vice presidential running mate next time around. You know her, you love her, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett.
If you are trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at inauguration. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie. So let me tell you something.
The gentlelady's time has expired. The gentlelady's time has expired.
Rein in this rogue actor known
The gentlelady's time has expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Burleson.
By the way, this is what they're reduced to. He said we were sending millions of dollars for condoms in Gaza, and that's not true. The millions of dollars for condoms was going to Mozambique, which, of course, brings us to the question, okay, so the issue is not the fact that the American people are spending millions of dollars for condoms for people overseas. It's exactly what country we're funding condoms for. Is that it? Okay, at least we know the terms of our disagreement. How dare you suggest we're sending condoms to Gaza? We were sending condoms to Mozambique, damn it. Okay, die on that hill, Democrats. Go ahead and die. By the way, for those of you who are wondering what the hell Hamas and Mozambique and condoms, terrorists actually use condoms as weapons, terrorist weapons. I'm not going to explain it to you, but go ahead and use your favorite search engine and check it out. That's actually a real thing. Crockett wasn't done. She had a little bit more.
In fact, I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that the Republicans believe our job is, because right now they have relinquished their constitutional duties over to an unelected bureaucrat, someone who no one went out to vote for. And absolutely, he is occupying the Oval Office, as we saw yesterday. And that is a first for me, to see someone occupying the Oval Office who's never actually been elected to the Oval Office and actually answering more questions than the person that allegedly got elected.
So Trump got allegedly elected. So she's an election denier. That's insurrection-y, by the way. I think that deserves a January 6th style investigation. But also, I've never seen anybody who hasn't been elected president actually in the Oval Office. But it's so moronic, it's not even worth a response. But I just wanted you to know that we have shown you the brightest lights of the Democrats. This is the highlights of the Democrats' resistance today on this Committee on Government Efficiency. This is the best they had. And as I've been discussing for the last 10 days now, this plays into the brilliant strategy that Donald Trump, your president, who, yes, in fact, was overwhelmingly elected to the White House this last time around. It's a brilliant strategy that he has employed, because not only is he doing what he said he would do and doing exactly what he promised, rally after rally, he would bring Elon Musk up on stage and say, yeah, he's going to be in charge of government efficiency, and he's going to pull it all out at the root, and he's going to find out where the money's going, and he's going to shut it down. And here we are, 23 days in, and he's doing exactly that. But the really brilliant thing is that Musk is the lightning rod. 8 years ago, all of this screaming and caterwauling and name calling and dick pic references in Congress from the Democrats, they were all directed at Trump, and Trump was taking it from all sides, and it was hurting. It was leaving a mark. Now it's all directed at Musk. Trump comes out looking like, pretty much clean in all of this. They barely reference Trump in all of this. And meanwhile, he keeps his head down. He keeps doing his job. He ends up banning plastic straws and freeing Americans held hostage in Russia when Biden couldn't do a damn thing for him because, he wasn't a black America-hating, pot-smoking, lesbian basketball player. Did you follow that train of thought? I hope so. So Elon Musk, who they can't hurt him. Elon Musk is literally the richest man in the world. All of his dreams have come true. He doesn't need to or care to run for elected office. In fact, he's got his own social media platform. It's the biggest communications device on the planet. So you can't cancel him. You can't silence him. He's the one who's taking all the shrapnel and all the hits on all of this. And yet, meanwhile, he continues to do the job. And Trump comes off kind of scot-free in all of it. It's freaking brilliant. And even more importantly, they're actually getting the job done. In fact, let's finish up with that.
The gravy train for a lot of these folks, it's been on biscuit wheels and it's about to run off the dadgum tracks, and it's about time. Could you imagine standing up here and defending waste, fraud, and abuse? But I think that's what we're seeing. When people squeal and don't ask questions, I think it shows the American public what the heck's going on.
That's exactly right. Not one of the Democrats today said, hey, I understand you found this and found that. Can you give us more information about that? Why was our tax money at USAID going to these things that are not in America's interest around the world and promoting things that are antithetical to the American voter? Not one Democrat asked one question about that. I understand we've been spending money on outdated computer systems to try to track Social Security and other aspects of the federal payment system. We can do better than that. Please give us information about that. Not one question from Democrats about that either. All you heard was attacks on the process of rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, and a defense of these programs that are full of waste, fraud, and abuse, because that's what they stand for. DOGE. It's DOGE versus DOGE. Which side are you on? Are you on the side of a department who is actually finding and ending the waste, fraud, and abuse and bringing efficiency to our government finally after decades? Or are you with DOGE? Are you with Democrats against government efficiency? I know what side I'm on. I wonder what side you're on. Yesterday in the Oval Office, something absolutely extraordinary happened. For the last several weeks, Elon Musk has been the target of every kind of possible attack from the organized left in America, from the leadership of the Democratic Party or whatever's left of it, to their partners in crime, the propaganda legacy media. He's been called a Hitler. He's been accused of doing a Nazi salute. He's been accused of circumventing our Constitution. He's been accused of being an oligarch. He's been accused of being a totalitarian authoritarian. They've said that he purchased the presidency through his sock puppet, Donald Trump, but he's really the one in charge. And he's tapping into the payment systems of the federal treasury to better enrich himself, because being the richest man on the planet isn't good enough for him. He's been accused of all of those things. And in Washington, D.C., when you're a figure at the center of a storm like that, generally speaking, what you do is you circle the wagons. You get some allies out there on television to speak on your behalf. You come up with some talking points. You go into damage control. You hunker down. And if you intend to give an interview to try to salvage all of the damage that's being done, you negotiate something with friendly media, right? If you're Joe Biden or Barack Obama, it usually ends up being George Stephanopoulos or somebody from 60 Minutes. It's all negotiated up front. The questions are approved in advance. It's pre-taped. You can have final edit power over what eventually gets broadcast. But that's how you do damage control in Washington, D.C. if you're anybody but Elon Musk and the Trump administration. If you're Elon Musk and you're in the new era of political communications in the Trump administration, you don't do any of those things. You don't do any of the traditional damage control, PR, control the message kind of tactics and wait for it to all to blow over until the next scandal comes along. No, what you do is you stand in the Oval Office with your young child next to you. You invite all the reporters from the White House press pool into the Oval Office, and you say, I understand people have some questions about what we've been doing, so I'm here to answer your questions. What do you got? It was extraordinary what we saw yesterday. And let's watch a lot of it together, because it still blows my mind that we live in this era of accountability and transparency, and that this man, who, by the way, doesn't need to answer to anybody if he doesn't want to, instead decided to bring his young toddler into the Oval Office, at one point put him on his shoulders like he's walking down Main Street, USA at Walt Disney World, and take every single, even all the stupid and asinine questions that reporters asked him. This is what transparency looks like.
If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happened.
Yeah, and listen, I understand that my conservative Republican friends who understand history and the truth, you might want to get your hackles up there when you say, hey, we're not a democracy. Stop saying we live in a democracy. I told you this yesterday. He's using their language against them. Right? They keep saying that he's ending our democracy, he's destroying our democracy. And he's saying, wait a minute, the people voted for us. And not only that, they voted for us to do exactly what we're doing right now, because we actually told them, vote for us and we'll do it. And now we're doing it. And they're being stopped. And by the way, they're not even being stopped by any constitutional lever of our government. They're being stopped by the very bureaucrats that they're trying to investigate and look into. You've got bureaucrats standing in the way and saying, no, we work in the executive branch of government, but the elected official who was put in charge of the executive branch of government has no business and no right asking us what we're doing, or telling us what to do, or telling us to stop doing what we're doing. That is no longer a democracy, if you want to use those words. That is now a planned, permanent bureaucracy running things, and we the people have no say. And it takes Elon Musk to lay it out there like that, but he wasn't done.
It's like we are trying to sort of right-size the federal bureaucracy, just make sure that this obviously there need to be a lot of people working for the federal government, but not as many as currently. So we're saying, well, okay, well, let's if people can retire, with full benefits, everything, that would be good. They can retire, get their retirement payments, everything. And then we were told, this is actually, I think, a great anecdote, because we were told that the most number of people that could retire possibly in a month is 10,000. We're like, well, why is that? Well, because all the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. I'm like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine where we store all the retirement paperwork. And you look at a picture of this mine. We'll post some pictures afterwards. And this mine looks like something out of the 50s because it was started in 1955. So it looks like it's like a time warp. And then the speed, the limiting factor is the speed at which the mine shaft elevator can move determines how many people can retire from the federal government. And the elevator breaks down and then sometimes, and then nobody can retire. Doesn't that sound crazy? There's like 1,000 people that work on this. So I think if we take those people and say, like, you know what, instead of working in a mine shaft and carrying manila envelopes to, boxes in a mine shaft, you could do practically anything else. And you would add to the goods and services of the United States in a more useful way. So anyway, so I think, that's an example. At a high level, if you say, like, how do we increase prosperity? Is we get people to shift from roles that are low to negative productivity to high productivity roles. And so you increase the total output of goods and services, which means that there's a higher standard of living available for everyone. That's the actual goal.
I feel like we just witnessed a masterclass in systems development for efficiency and productivity in the 21st century. I mean, if you think about Elon Musk and think about all of the money that he's made in with his various ventures, whether it's online payment systems or whether it's in manufacturing of an electric car or whether it's reinventing aerospace and becoming the leading rocket producer and space explorer on the planet in our history, it all boils down to analyzing a system, making it better, making it function, and then replicating that. And that anecdote that he just told about how federal employment records are being stored right now. So he says, hey, I'd like 50,000 federal employees to opt for retirement this month. And somebody in charge of office personnel and government personnel said, oh, we can't do that. We can never have more than 10,000 people that retire per month. And he said, why? That doesn't make any sense. And he said, oh, well, let me explain why. Because all of the federal records are kept on hard copy and they're tabulated by hand in a limestone mine hundreds of feet below the Earth's surface. This was set up by President Eisenhower in the 50s in case we got hit by an atom bomb by the Soviets. And I love Musk. He talks about, he uses phrases like feedback loops and limiting factors. And he says, okay, well, you know, I can even hear him having this conversation. Okay, even if you're keeping all the records down there by hand, why are we limited to only 10,000 people per month? I mean, you just go down there, get all the records, figure it out, and then come back up. And the response was, oh, no. So there's an elevator in this mine shaft. And at max capacity, working every day of the week, every hour of the working day, that elevator in the mine shaft is still limited to the records that would accommodate 10,000 employees, give or take. And of course, sometimes that elevator breaks down. And so, you know, you got a problem. Now, imagine being Elon Musk and hearing that. And by the way, as he gave that, and this is 100% true. And by the way, almost all the data that I just conveyed to you, I didn't even get from Musk's appearance yesterday, what you just saw. I got it because I read an article in the Washington Post in 2014 during the Obama administration highlighting this. And the Obama administration was saying, we got to fix this. This is ridiculous. And in that very same Washington Post article from 2014, there were references to quotes from President Ronald Reagan in the 80s pointing this very problem out. And yet here we are. Here we are, and nothing has been done about it. And I want you to imagine being Elon Musk, the man who has reinvented the automotive industry around the world and who is now the dominant aerospace tycoon, launching rockets on a daily basis. And there are more satellites orbiting our planet right now, thanks to Elon Musk, than any other satellite in our history. He is going to colonize Mars at some point in our lifetime. And he hears that. He hears that. And he finds out, he hears that system in place right now for federal employee records. And he thinks to himself, and people are opposing me? I'm the problem? I'm the monster? And there's one other thing. You know, I watched cable news last night, and I don't watch right-leaning cable news, of course. I watch all the other guys. Not one cable network, not one broadcast network had a story about this. When they're talking about Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency, not one of them focused on this. News articles today in all your major newspapers. Oh, Washington Post wrote about it in 2014, but hell no, they're not writing about it today. This goes well completely past them. They have no interest in the fact that we are living in a world right now where you have more database capacity in the phone you carry around than our entire federal employee record-keeping system to calculate people's retirement so that they can quit their jobs and move on. And you wonder why the vast majority of Americans are like, what the hell is everyone screaming about? You know, just let him do the job. No, the Democrats in town, they've decided to protect this. They're protecting that. There was more here. By the way, and then, of course, you saw President Trump there. Did you notice that when like Musk is going on talking about systems and talking about improvements and efficiency, did you notice how Trump was like into it? He was like turning and he was looking and he's like, he's impressed by this guy. Who isn't impressed by this guy? If you're not, you've got a problem. I'll be honest with you. And so then they turned to Trump. And they asked him, well, are you okay with everything that Musk is doing?
For the sake of the country, I hope that the person that's in charge and the other people that report to me that are in charge are allowed to do the right thing, namely make sure everything's honest, legitimate, and competent. But we're looking at just when you look at USAID, that's one. We're going to look at the military. We're going to look at education. They're much bigger areas. But the USAID is really corrupt. I'll tell you, it's corrupt. It's incompetent, and it's really corrupt. And I can't imagine a judge saying, well, it may be corrupt, but you don't have the right. You got elected to look over the country and to, as we say, make America great again, but you don't have the right to go and look and see whether or not things are right that they're paying or that things are honest that they're paying. And nobody can even believe this. Other people, law professors, they've been saying, how can you take that person's right away? You're supposed to be running the country, but we're not allowed to look at who they're paying it to and what they're paying. We have massive amounts of fraud that we caught. I think we probably caught way over a lot of billions of dollars already in 2 weeks?
Yes.
And it's going to go to numbers that you're not going to believe. And much, as I said, much is incompetence and much is dishonesty. We have to catch it. And the only way we're going to catch it is to look for it. And if a judge is going to say you're not allowed to look for it, that's pretty sad for our country.
Yeah, it's pretty sad for our country. And by the way, I just want to say, we rarely do this, but what say what here with the perfect comment over on the YouTube platform. Elon Musk programmed a rocket booster, the biggest rocket booster in our history, by the way, to shoot into space, return to space, and then be caught with 2 chopstick arms on the launching pad. So it can be reused again within hours to launch another payload up into space. And then he has to sit there and listen to these people say, let me explain how we keep records here in the federal government. First, you go to a lime mine out in Pennsylvania, and you have to go hundreds of feet below the surface in a broken down, rickety elevator shaft. And we're limited based on how many people. It's unbelievable. And so, of course, he has Trump's full support. But that didn't stop the detractors in the media trying to drive a wedge here. And in fact, here's the reporter for Reuters, who I love it when they do this too. They hate you, but they'll never say they hate you. So instead they say, how do you respond to the people who say X, Y, and Z, right? How do you respond to the people who hate you? Like me. So here's the question to Elon Musk about how do you respond to your detractors? That's the word he used.
So people don't do this quiet?
Your detractors, Mr. Musk.
I have to what?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public. The public voted. We have a majority of the public voting for President Trump. We won the House. We won the Senate. The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for.
Thank you. It's that's a pretty clear way to communicate. Again, just standing there, taking questions from these reporters as he's under fire, and he responds to every single one of them. I posted this yesterday because it was such an extraordinary moment. I posted it on my my Substack. It's a free Substack, by the way, if you want to join it. It's called Larry VIP. And one of my subscribers made a really interesting observation about the corruption at USAID. And I want to borrow it from him. He said, imagine you make a very generous gift to somebody in your life. You give them $30,000, but you say to them, here's $30,000. I want you to buy yourself a car. You need a car. It's important that you have a car. So here's $30,000. I'm doing this for you, whether it's a child or a dear friend, whatever it is. And then that person takes the $30,000 and goes to Vegas and blows it all. And you find out about it. Now, you're in the exact same position you were before, right? Ultimately, you're still out $30,000. But the point is, You gave them that $30,000 for a very noble and important purpose. And they defied you. They blew it on whatever they wanted to. And their response might be to you, well, what do you care? You're still out $30,000. I should be able to do with it whatever I want. But no, you would be enraged. You would be enraged. That's what USAID is, okay? Because we don't have a choice, first of all, in the taxes we have to pay. And when we pay taxes, it's under the guise of our military and our infrastructure and our roads and police and, and certain programs that we agree to pay for because, well, that's just the deal that we've made, I guess. And every time we vote for somebody who says that they're going to cut those programs because they're outdated, they never do, right? But we don't have a choice. You're taking our taxes. And it was sold to us, one of the things your tax dollars go to is this thing that promotes American values around the world, USAID, and we take care of children with AIDS, and we take care of starving infants in Southeast Asia. And so, that's your tax dollars at work. And then you find out instead, your tax dollars actually went to a transgender festival in Dublin, Ireland, or for instruction on gender identity farming in Peru or something like that. You're still out the same amount of money, but aren't you a little bit more indignant? Aren't you a little bit pissed off that they took your money and they blew it in Vegas instead of doing the noble thing that you intended that money to do? That's what this is all about. And you have every right to be pissed off about it because they're screwing you. And they know they're screwing you. And you know they're screwing you. And they know that you know that they're screwing you. And they don't care. And that's the point. They want you to know that you're powerless. Until now. Until now. A little bit more of this extraordinary moment in the Oval Office yesterday. Honestly, to me, this is one of the high points of my adult political life, seeing this happen. And I'll expand on that in a second. I know that sounds like hyperbole, but I'm being authentic here.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about 30 million,
right,
etc.?
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that, there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened to USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But they seem to be mysteriously, they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So, we're looking at, we just.
Yeah, and that right there is one of the reasons why they're also freaking out. There's a little bit more to that, but I'll just shut it down there. But yeah, you've got elected officials as well as government employees, like Anthony Fauci, for instance, who, by the way, was the highest paid government employee, making six figures, but he still somehow amassed a seven-figure net worth. Some people are making, say, $70,000, $80,000 a year, and yet by the time they leave government, their net worth is in the tens of millions of dollars. How's that possible? And is it fair for us to ask that question and find out how that's possible? And the answer is naturally yes. If I can summarize, here's Elon Musk with his toddler son sitting on his shoulders, right? Like they're at an amusement park. And he took endless questions from the White House press corps. He responded to every single question and every single challenge that was laid before him. And he responded with candor and with pith, with no dodging, no prevarication, no excuses, no finger pointing. He explained his operation. He defended his tactics and his team. It was unlike anything that ever happens in Washington, D.C. Ever. This isn't how politicians operate. This isn't how government officials operate. It's not how anyone in Washington operates. It wasn't damage control. It was transparency. It was accountability. And it was truth. And it's weird because we're not used to that in Washington, D.C. And by the way, it needs to be said, in just one sitting, Elon Musk took more direct questions and responded with direct, frank, and candid answers of the White House press corps than the former president, the former vice president, and the former White House press secretary did in the entire last year of their presidency. And there's no question about that. This man and the man who hired him, President Trump, need to be applauded, and they deserve your support. They deserve your praise. And I can just sum up with one last statement on this in the immortal words of my friend and mentor, the late, great Andrew Breitbart. What do we like about Elon Musk? Well, at the very least, he's pissing off all the right people. As the storms swirled around the As the storms swirled around the Department of Government Efficiency and Elon Musk in particular, there were a few great voices in Congress who actually stood up and defended the entire operation. One of them also happens to be a favorite of this program. The fine senator from the great state of Louisiana, you know him, you love him, Senator John Kennedy. He made a pretty important point there on the floor of the Senate.
It strikes me as breathtakingly ironic. The cynic might say cynical, that the people who are screaming so loudly about President Trump's decision to audit federal spending are the very same people under President Biden who wanted to hire 80,000 new IRS agents with guns to audit the American people. As I've said before, if it weren't for double standards, there wouldn't be any standards at all in this town. The battle lines are drawn, Mr. President. The battle lines are drawn. Some of my colleagues have decided to support the bureaucracy and the spending porn over the American taxpayer. That's what they've done. And some of the same people, it's not just my Democratic colleagues. There are many people in Washington, D.C. that have grouped together and they've circled the wagons and they've decided to support the spending porn and the bureaucrats over the American taxpayer. That's their right. It's not against the law or unconstitutional to be foolish in America. But these are the same people. These are the same people who chose to support illegal immigration over the rule of law.
Yeah, he always says just the right thing, and even better, he says it just the right way. And that first point was probably the most important. Everyone who has their hair on fire and are screaming about a basic audit function over the vast, corrupt, and wasteful bureaucracy of the federal government, they were more than happy to spend billions of dollars to hire over 80,000 armed IRS agents to come and audit you and your personal finances. It seems like their perspective on what's most important is a little skewed in Washington, D.C. Kennedy was so good that the bookers on Fox News wanted him this morning, and he delivered, as he always does.
Senator John Kennedy, Republican out of Louisiana. Sir, good morning to you. I don't know if you thought you would ever live to see the day where Washington would go in the other direction. Now, the judges are slowing it down. It takes some time to move through the courts, but this is going to happen. Do you believe it will be enough to exact change permanently in Washington, D.C.?
I certainly hope so. Here's what I see. Look, I'm unapologetically with Trump and Musk. Now, among the blue hairs and the opinion writers in Washington, we're losing. We're winning with the American people. And I think, Bill and Dana, the big picture should not go unnoticed. Some people, mostly my Democratic colleagues, have chosen to support the bureaucracy and the spending porn over the American taxpayer. These are the same folks who chose to support illegal immigration over the rule of law, who chose to support teachers' unions over schools and kids, who chose to support criminals over crime victims, who chose to support transgender athletes over women's sports, frankly, who chose to support Hamas over Israel. Now, they think they're winning, and they may be in the bubble of Washington, but not among the taxpayers. When they tell me, well, we think we're winning, I tell them, sure, and be on the lookout for flying pigs. I think the justice stick is coming, and I think the American people support everything we're doing.
Yeah, that's a man who's speaking from a position of confidence, and I think he's right too. It's been said before, but it needs to be repeated, that Trump continues to land on these 80-20 issues in America on the 80% side. And not only is he driving those issues home right now and scoring with them and succeeding and actually delivering, appealing to that 80% of this country who agree, but for some reason he has somehow hypnotized the left. He has sort of put them into some sort of mindless trance where they are just instinctively, reflexively standing their ground on that 20% issue, willing to die on the hill of that 20% issue. Everything that Kennedy just laid out there for you, from illegal immigration to Israel and Hamas to transgender activists invading women's sports to government waste, fraud, and abuse, the Democrats continue to land on that side of it. And no one better represents that sort of brain dead politics of the last Trump presidency, where maybe it worked back then because enough doubt was sown in the American people's minds that, geez, maybe Trump did steal the election thanks to Vladimir Putin. I mean, all the smart people in town told us that Hillary Clinton was going to win, and I'm glad she didn't, but maybe there was something weird there. So we're not all in on Trump. Let's just wait and see what they uncover. And so Democrats seized on that, and they had this permanent policy of investigation and obstruction and special prosecutors and spying and impeachment and outrage, and everything's turned to 11. And this is a 5-alarm fire no matter what Trump did or said or tweeted. And it was chaos. Well, this time around, you've got a Trump administration and the American people who know full damn well that this is exactly what they want. He won. He won against all odds. He won. They didn't even want him on the ballot. They tried to keep his name off the ballot, remember, in multiple states. They tried to put him in jail. They threw the FBI at his home in the middle of the night. They riled up people in such a psychotic frenzy that a couple of people even tried to assassinate him. And the American people said, no, really, this is what we want. And yet these Democrats on Capitol Hill continue to play the same game that they played 10 years ago from when he came down that golden escalator, and none of it's working. And the very perfect example of this happened in the House of Representatives yesterday. The Government Oversight Committee, it was. Jamie Raskin, who was the poster child for this mentality that I just laid out for you, that I just described. He continued. He's still fighting the last impeachment battle. He's still trying to subpoena investigate Donald Trump. He wants a special prosecutor today. This is how Jamie Raskin is. But I want you to see what he had to say about government efficiency and DOGE and Elon Musk. It's the same old playbook. But let's see what this brave woman, this witness in front of Raskin at this hearing, this was one of the most beautiful moments you'll see in our constitutional republic, where we, the people, really are in charge. Watch this.
He and his mutant teenage racist computer hackers have taken possession of financial payment systems at the United States Department of Treasury, meaning data access to the private financial records of every American citizen, every member of Congress, every federal prosecutor, every regulator who's supposed to be looking at what his business does. And what have the courts been saying? They've said a dozen times in 3 weeks that they're violating the Constitution of the United States and the laws passed by Congress. That's what's going on in America today. That's what we should be having a hearing about, not some airy academic conversation about the administrative state.
And the fact that Mr. Raskin, you're here this whole time we've been here. You've just been complaining about the process. I'll call it a process. And again, I'm not disagreeing with your issues right now around Musk and the process that's following Mr. Vladek, the process that you're following. At some point, what is the end game? Isn't the end game to make us, the American people, better off? Isn't it? Isn't it? No, I hear you saying that the stuff that would make us better off doesn't matter. All you care about right now is a process of Musk and his associates are not doing this the right way. Is the goal moral and right or not? If you say it is, as I think you should be saying, then the fight shouldn't be about, we need to take Musk down or Trump down. Let us rethink that if you want, but keep your eye on the ball, and your ball should be me. It should be me. I'm sorry, it should be me.
Yeah.
It should be me. How do we make me better off? Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
You bet. And by me, you mean the American people.
That's what I mean by.
Yeah, that's right. And by the way, let me put her back up here. Her name, by the way, because I'm sure you're all wondering, is Magatte Wade. She is from Senegal. And she made such a blisteringly obvious, clear, and logical common sense point there that crystallizes exactly what you're seeing right now, not just in Washington, D.C., the big tent circus that I live in, but what you're seeing play out in your media, on your broadcasting cable news networks right now, as the hysteria reaches a fevered pitch. Understand that the Democrats are not stepping up and saying, listen, we do have problems in our government, and we do have things that are worth auditing, and we do need to shut down these programs, and we do need to root out the waste. We do need to root out the fraud, and we need to arrest the people guilty of fraud and abuse because they're stealing money from our treasury and they're stealing money from the American taxpayer. You're not hearing any of that. They could be saying all of that, and at the same time, they could be saying, however, I take issue with the way President Trump and Elon Musk are going about it. So the cause is righteous. They have a noble calling. And we want them to be effective in what they're doing, so we'll work with you to do it the right way. But that's not what they're saying. They're pretending like their problem is the process, but the problem really isn't the process because they're not saying anything in support of the actual end goal, in the morality of what is actually being accomplished here. And it took this woman born in Africa, born in Senegal, to point it out. You see, she's seen government corruption firsthand. She has seen waste, fraud, and abuse that reaches the levels of absolute corrupt theft from poor individuals who die starving because their government is so ineffective and so corrupt and so careless with people's lives. It takes people born in foreign dysfunctional countries to really see the path that we're headed down here in the United States of America. And she just said it better than anyone else could. She spoke yesterday, as Jim Jordan pointed out, for all of us. When she says me, she means the American people. Yes, she spoke for me better than anyone who calls themselves a representative. In fact, I live very near where Jamie Raskin actually represents. I live in the same state that Jamie Raskin represents. And I assure you, when you look at that screen right in front of you, it is that black woman from Africa who represents me better than anyone else you see on the screen. Her name is Magatte Wade. I don't know where she lives in America right now, but wherever it is, Ms. Wade, you have my vote and my political contribution, because I would love to see you sitting on the other side of that table, right next to Jamie Raskin someday. Please think about it. Well, CNN is completely broken at this point. I mean, in the last 12 hours, on the cable news network, we have seen example after example after example about how they are totally falling apart. They've lost their minds over on CNN. They have no idea how to go about doing what they're supposed to be doing. Take this one example from last night. Anderson Cooper, who is supposed to be the grown-up in the room. He's the most serious anchor and affable, highest paid journalist on CNN. He's having a conversation with, that guy, Jeffrey Toobin, we'll get to him in a minute, and the former governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, a moderate, not a huge fan of Donald Trump Republican. And they were talking, of course, about Elon Musk's DOGE and how it was going about its business. And when Chris Sununu dared to communicate a conservative perspective on this issue, watch what Anderson Cooper did.
It's 23 days in here, guys. 23 days. You were talking about 2.3 billion that was saved last year. These guys are saving 2.3 billion a day.
Right, but
it's incredible.
That's what they're saying. But where's the proof?
You're waiting. You're not going to be satisfied till he shows up with 10,000 pages.
But we're talking about 10,000 pages.
Yes.
He's giving very specific things,
yes, he's giving
but he's not actually giving any evidence of that.
It's all going to come, because what they also said was, if we have to go to Congress, we'll go to Congress.
Right, but
we'll show where it is.
Some of the details that have come out, like the $59 million spent on luxury hotels, it's actually not.
You're talking about the FEMA money that was abused for migrants. FEMA money for migrants. That's okay now.
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick. What I'm saying is the portrayal by him is just not factually accurate. He's talking about luxury hotels. I'm not a big look. I was in Hurricane Katrina. I saw what FEMA does. I get it.
I think the issue too is these are congressional.
So he just said to the former governor of New Hampshire, because he was making a point, an effective one, by the way, about wasteful FEMA money. He said, "Don't be a dick." That's Anderson Cooper. That's their senior man. That's like the Walter Cronkite of CNN right now. He says, "Don't be a dick." By the way, Anderson Cooper, I'm sure you know, is an heir to the Vanderbilt fortune. And he decided to, I'm bored with my life and all my money. I guess I'll go on television and learn how to read a teleprompter. And here he is. But you know what he was about to say? Let me just play it back here, because I assure you I know exactly what he was about to say. He was taking issue with the term luxury hotels in New York. You see, I know the hotels that are being used here. A couple of them are pretty high end, but most of them are like, 3-star affairs, 2-star affairs. They're not the greatest hotels in New York. I think one of them is the former Milford Plaza Hotel on 8th Avenue and 44th, that's being overrun by illegal immigrants now. What Anderson Cooper wanted to say was, luxury hotels, come on. It's not like it's in the Waldorf Astoria. It's not like where I hang out with my friends.
I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick. What I'm saying is the portrayal by him is just not factually accurate. He's talking about luxury hotels.
You see, he almost said it, but then he realized what an elitist snob he would be portrayed to be, which he is. Let me assure you, I don't care what hotel you're staying in New York. If it's in Manhattan and you're spending, $300-400 a night, to most people in America, that's luxury. It ain't a Courtyard. Okay, it's not a Fairfield Inn. We're not talking about the Motel 6. But by Anderson Cooper standards, did you see it? Am I wrong? I could be wrong, but I think that's where he was going. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, if I may use that analogy with a dick reference. Here earlier is Aaron Burnett taking a look at the Elon Musk stand-up presser that happened there in the Oval Office. And while all of us were seeing some extraordinary bit of transparency and accountability, and the man at the center of this DOGE storm taking questions from reporters and answering and working in a completely freewheeling fashion, which is exactly what you want from a government official, that's what most Americans saw. But what did Aaron Burnett see? Oh, she saw the subtext. She saw the real story. Take a look.
The one standing, taking most of the questions, having the president in this odd, jarring setting, looking up to him. Well, it was Elon. This was Musk's first press conference since Trump's election, and he took over. Trump literally, in all these images, kind of looked like he'd been pushed off to the side because Elon was the center of it. I mean, at times Trump seemed annoyed. I mean, it wasn't just that Musk dominated. He did speak for about 20 of the 32 minutes. So about 63.5%, if you're counting of the time. It was that Musk physically owned the entire event. He and his child were the center of the attention.
What she saw was Trump angry. What she saw was a rift. What she saw was Trump's inflated ego and narcissism being trampled by this guy. And Trump's not going to stand for it. She's trying to create this rift between the two of them out of nothing. At times, Trump seemed annoyed. Well, if you take a look, Trump did seem annoyed at one part. He seemed annoyed that Elon Musk's kid was picking his nose next to his desk. I mean, honestly, I'd be a little annoyed at that too. Yet at the same time, I'm kind of charmed by it. All right, but there's more CNN. Let's get to our fave, Scott Jennings, on Abby Phillips. This, again, CNN. absolutely disintegrating before our eyes. Take a look at this one.
What I can't get with is you talking in these bizarre, broad generalities.
It's not bizarre.
Every single one of these cases deals with a discrete issue. Okay, it deals with funding. It deals with with certain constitutionally or statutorily appointed roles. Every single one of these things is a distinct thing, and they're all being dealt with by different judges. So it's not broad swaths of policy here. When the court says Congress appropriated this money, you must unfreeze it while we litigate this. Why can't Trump comply with that?
So you're saying that a judge should decide how and when money is spent
a judge is saying
for years, and not the president of the United States?
Let me explain
You're a governor,
a little bit more. Let me explain it a little bit more slowly. A judge is saying
you don't have to talk to me like that.
Congress.
I have a position on this, and you have an opinion. We can disagree.
Yeah, but I'm saying you listen to me because you're not listening, and you're making claims that are not connected to the facts.
Wow. I mean, we've all been there, haven't we, guys? What the hell? All right. So first of all, Abby Phillips needs to realize that Scott Jennings is literally the only reason anyone even knows about her show. And she does this condescending, arrogant, let me explain it to you slowly for you so you can understand. And good for Jennings to snap back and say, you don't talk to me like that. That was the night before last. That was Monday night. Fast forward to Tuesday night, and I'll tell you something. They bring on this pro-Hamas sympathizer, and I think Scott Jennings has just reached. I think he's done. I think he's literally done. He knows that he's bigger than anyone else on this show, and he does not have any more F's to give.
A couple things. Number one, the reason we're here with this hostage situation this weekend is because Hamas decided to stop participating in the deal that was brokered as Donald Trump was coming into office.
Actually, the Israeli newspapers today says that Israel violated the ceasefire.
I know what your position is. I know what your position is.
No, it's not my position. It's the Israeli newspaper and the New York Times and Israeli politician.
But our ally is Israel, and you can't trust Hamas.
But our allies violated the ceasefire.
And who started it in the beginning? Who started it in the first place?
Israel violated the ceasefire, killed 100 Palestinians.
Let's finish, and then you can.
We're here because Hamas kidnapped, raped, and murdered, and now they're violating this deal, which wasn't even a great deal to begin with. It did get a few people back, which I'm sure is the best of what we're going to see. And so what Donald Trump is trying to do right now is get this thing moving again, because these people need to come back. That's number one. Number two, I think he just wants the other states in the Middle East to do something.
They already
and to
offered
take
him
ownership
to do something.
of some people here, to take ownership of, take responsibility for their own region, and I hope they do.
Well, can I say something? I'm also sorry.
For the
There's
region?
the only one that actually put the proposition on the table 4 times, and this is where it's honestly, you don't know what you're talking about, and I'm sorry to say,
No, I think
President
I do.
Trump
And
doesn't know
I'm
what he's
sorry
talking.
that you and I disagree, but I have a position, and it's valid.
There is an Arab people.
Yeah, I have a position and it's valid. And if you noticed, his whole position was, what happened on October 7th, ma'am? Why are we here in the first place? Meanwhile, back to Anderson Cooper, when he isn't calling people 4 letters sexual expletives, he's also lying to his audience straight on.
We begin tonight, keeping them honest, with the extraordinary claims of government fraud by the president and similar claims of maximal transparency by Elon Musk, but little evidence of either to back it up. In fact, strong evidence to the contrary from Musk's contention that he and his DOGE team are doing what they do in a way that, quote, maximally transparent. He said that in the Oval Office, wearing a ball cap and T-shirt with one of his kids nearby. He and the president, who yielded the stage to him for minutes at a time, both speaking at length with reporters. The president, who's now facing a string of court cases surrounding his and Musk's actions, addressed concerns that he would defy court orders, saying he, quote, always abides by the courts, but also saying this.
Wow, that's a great way to present the news. I mean, it's completely fraudulent and dishonest and unscrupulous, but it is a great way to deliver the news. After all, he reads that teleprompter with ease, and aren't his eyes steely blue? We finish up our look into the 12 hours depicting CNN's complete and total bottoming out nadir with Dana Bash going out of her way and making a very deliberate choice to comment on some social media activity from the aforementioned Elon Musk.
Now, the disruptor in chief, Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Harry Balls, tweeted this morning, democracy in America is being destroyed by judicial coup. An activist judge is not a real judge.
Now, just so you know, I just want to point out that she can't even read this right because clearly there is a straight line over the O in the fake last name. His name is not Harry Balls, Dana, no matter how obsessed you may be with that imagery. It's Harry Bowles. Get it right, okay? This is CNN after all. That was a deliberate choice. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to show that. They didn't have to say that. They didn't have to say anything. They could just say Elon Musk took to the social media platform X and said democracy in America is being destroyed by judicial coup. An activist judge is not a real judge. That's all they had to say. No, that was a deliberate choice. This is CNN. This is who they are. This is where they are. They are completely broken. You know, CNN has sort of been on a slow, precipitous decline for many years. They decided to go all in on the whole resistance movement. They let their blind hatred for Donald Trump and the Americans who voted for him kind of dictate their editorial perspective and decisions and the overall tone of the network. And it went south really, really fast. Frankly, they just weren't good at it. See, over on MSNBC, they were stacked up and hired with people who are used to going on diatribes against conservatives and Republicans. At CNN, they had pretended to be impartial for so long that they had sort of lost the muscle memory on how to be the openly left-wing agitators that they inherently are. So it was just awkward and bad. After all, if people wanted that kind of content, they'd get it much better over on MSNBC. Strangely, audiences still thought CNN was there to deliver news and facts and information, and they weren't good at the whole resistance thing. After Trump's triumph this last November, when there was no doubt that the American people deliberately said emphatically, yes, this is the man we want in the White House, naive observers, myself included for a little while, actually thought that they'd learned a lesson. We thought that maybe CNN would get back to delivering news and information, return to their roots, instead of using their platform as the voice of the opposition again. Because this reelected president and the majority of Americans continue to support him, and he continues to be popular. They got rid of Jim Acosta, so maybe that was a signal that they had learned their lessons and they were trying to move away from the activism back to cold, hard facts. Nope. We just showed you exactly how bad they've gotten. It almost makes you yearn for the days when Don Lemon would openly muse as to whether a commercial jumbo jet actually got swallowed up in a black hole over the Indian Ocean. Now that was the heyday. Those were the good old days. This right here, well, this is CNN. And it sucks. Where are we here, young man? Can we do one more? You want to do one more? Should we do one more, Kevin? It's up to you. You get the vote, Kevin. Do we do one more?
Go for it.
Look at you. Look at you. You just didn't want to be the bad guy. All right, one more. Well, Democrats have completely lost their mind. They have absolutely no idea what to do with this president and all the actions that he's doing. They know they oppose Donald Trump, but they're still not quite sure why. And, well, the American people seem to be backing all of the moves that this new president has made. He's actually got his highest approval ratings he's ever had in the White House. And so, well, they're frustrated, to say the least. They had a rally yesterday, and they decided on an open mic that they would just sort of speak off the top of the head. And strangely, some Freudian slips came barreling through their mouths, and it was awkward, to say the least.
I've been told I have 30 seconds. So I am going to tell you that we do have to, I don't swear in public very well, but we have to fuck Trump. Please don't tell my children that I just did that.
So that's Maxine Dexter, Democrat Congresswoman from Oregon. And it's a little distorted. They insist on screaming into a microphone. What's the point of paying for amplification if you're just going to scream? But in case you missed it, let's just hear it one more time.
We have to fuck Trump.
Yeah, that's what we have to do. And boy, they seem really excited about it. So is this like a group thing you're looking to do? Or is this just like a one-on-one? She used the pronoun we. So I'm guessing she means more people, but this could be an Oregon Democrat thing where her preferred pronoun is we. That part I'm a little confused about, but what she actually wants to do with the president of the United States, she's really quite clear about that.
Don't swear in public very well, but we have to fuck Trump.
I don't think that's the proper usage of that word if she means something different than what it sounded like it meant. Either way, I think I can go out on a limb here and speak on behalf of the 45th and 47th president and just say, honey, it ain't going to happen. I'm sorry. You're not his type. We've seen his type. It ain't you. But boy, they are excited about the idea, aren't they? Well, I don't think she gets out much. Meanwhile, Ayanna Pressley, also not her type, or his type for that matter. Ayanna Pressley also let a little bit of a Freudian slip pop out there. You know, sometimes these Democrats actually say the quiet part out loud and they let you know exactly what they intend to do. And that's what happened when Ayanna Pressley got the microphone.
Look, let me tell you something. I'll take a bit of umbrage here. I'll speak on behalf of my colleagues. I think I can say we are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress. But they are not serious.
I think my favorite part of this is the stunned silence as everyone realizes what she said. And they're like, are we supposed to agree with that? Hold on. Are we actually saying it out loud now that we want to censor the American people? Because I thought we only talked about that in closed door committee sessions. Hold on. Did I miss a memo? Are we okay? Is it okay for us to say that now? What do you think she actually meant to say? What was the word? Frankly, I think that's what she meant to say. She said what she meant to say, but I wonder what was going to come out. One more time.
We are all willing to work with anyone who's serious about doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress.
But that silence is so fantastic. Everyone's like, I have no idea what she meant to say, but I'm going to take her at her word. 100%. I believe that she and her colleagues in the House and the Senate and the former administration absolutely were serious about censoring the American people. And thank God we've turned the page on that. And then there's Elizabeth Warren. Wow. Let me just let it play first and then I'll comment.
For every American who doesn't want some weird Elon Musk suck up searching through your personal private data, this is your fight. Your fight, my fight, our fight, and we will win this fight. Are you ready to say no to Elon Musk? We will fight it out in Congress. We will fight it out in the courts. We will fight it out across this country. And I promise you, we will win.
Wow, that was positively Churchillian. I mean, if Winston Churchill had inflated about 1,000 cubic gallons of helium and was delivering a speech while sitting on a dryer stuck on the spin cycle, what the hell is going on with her? Where did that tremor come from? She is shaking with rage. I think that's what it looks like, shaking with rage. Take a look at the last 3 clips that we showed you. These are the people representing the opposition party right now in America. These are the women who are the face and voice, that delightful voice that you just heard, of the Democratic Party. And I don't think it's a winning message, or certainly not a winning delivery. In fact, yesterday in the Senate, there was a great juxtaposition here with Senator Katie Britt of Alabama, responding to Elizabeth Warren. You know, all of the Democrat senators decided to call Elon Musk President Musk. They're saying he's a president in proxy. He's the one who's really pulling the strings. He's the one really making decisions. And Katie Britt made a very good point here. Take a look.
We are at an unprecedented moment. Our financial systems are facing huge risks from the economic chaos of President Trump and his co-president, Elon Musk.
President Trump ran on this.
I mean, he said, we're going to look for wasteful spending across our government. We're $36 trillion in debt, y'all. That's not only fiscally irresponsible, it is actually morally irresponsible. And the difference in this administration and the last administration is that President Trump is actually the final arbiter. And it's interesting that none of you had anything to say over the last 4 years when it is clear that our commander-in-chief was not in command. And if we're going to use the term co-president, then let's go back and say co-president Jake Sullivan, co-president Ron Klain, co-president Jill Biden. I mean, it seems that some of the biggest decisions were made during the president's afternoon nap time. And so I just think we need to be a little bit more honest about what's been laid out and what's actually occurring.
Well said. Really? We're going to talk about co-president. We're going to talk about who's really pulling the strings and calling the shots. Where the hell were you for the last 4 years? She forgot one name, co-president Valerie Jarrett. Or was it co-president Barack Obama? Or was it co-president George Soros? Great point, Katie Britt. Listen, I don't want to leave you today with the imagery of these screaming, Mimi, banshee Democrats saying they want to Trump and they want to censor the American people and whatever the hell it was Elizabeth Warren was saying. No, we can't do that to you. So we're going to finish today with a song, a good old-fashioned protest song that'll just stir in you the kind of American spirit and patriotism that'll make you want to take to the streets, grab a pitchfork and say, hell no, we won't go. Here we go. The Democrats in D.C. yesterday, they have their brand new protest song, and it's a banger. Go, girls.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against DOGE. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon's kept within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Wow. I'm motivated. I am stirred deep in my cockles. A couple of things to observe here. First of all, see those pre-printed, color-coordinated signs that say, save the civil service? Boy, if that's not a slogan that's going to win an election. Save the civil service, cried no American ever. Save the civil service. They're all purple and gold. Every single person in that crowd is a federal union member. That's right. The federal workers are unionized, a vast majority of them. Purple and gold is the signature color of SEIU, the Service Employees International Union. Usually at these events on Capitol Hill, they set up the podium and the microphone, and then they have a space for the people to stand. And then they have a podium where the cameras are for the television crews, right? The crew that you're seeing right there is clearly an ABC News camera. So it's on the podium. Take a look at the mass of people between the podium and the platform where the camera is. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of people. About 7 abreast. Give them 8 abreast. Maybe 9. So what, that's 36, 40 people. And they're all probably on the clock. I mean, you know that as DOGE goes through and starts cleaning house and getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, people are sort of put on leave, right? They're laid off. They're still paid. It's paid leave, don't get me wrong. So they're all collecting checks. They just don't have a job to do. And so they stand there. That's what's happening right there. And that's the best they've got. That's the best they've got. Well, except for the song, of course. I mean, now that people hear the song, I'm sure next time they do a protest, it'll be much bigger. We're talking Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream, Lincoln Memorial, Forrest Gump jumping in the reflecting pool. That's what it's going to be like. Because now, baby, now we've got a song. Verse 2.
Trump's coming for our unions. He wants us all to fail. He wants us all to bow to him, but we want him in jail.
Everybody!
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Yeah!
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? They say
You're all singing along at home, aren't you? Aren't you? You're all singing along at home. I know you are. Come on. You know, as painful as this is, and I do apologize for the blood that could be coming out of your ears right now. That was unintentional, and I feel bad about it. It is actually a clarifying thought, if you think about it. We've got the good congresswoman from Oregon screaming into her microphone that she wants to Trump, which, you know, daddy issues, I guess. You've got the bald congresswoman from Massachusetts who is a race baiter and openly admits that she's willing to work with anyone to censor the American people. You've got Elizabeth Warren out of her brain, actually screaming in shrill tones, channeling Winston Churchill, saying, "We'll fight them in the fields and we'll fight them in the..." And then you've got the song. And when you crystallize that, we have to answer the question that is posed in the song itself. Which side are you on? You're either on their side or you're on the side of the president of the United States and Elon Musk and the team that he's put together to actually bring common sense back into our nation, bring home Americans being held hostage abroad, and get our economy back on track where we're manufacturing goods in this country. People have good paying jobs and we can get back to living life and seeing our daughters play in sports where they're only competing with and against women and other little girls. That's what side I'm on. Which side are you on? That's it for our show. Did I mention my book? I've got a brand new book. It's called Shameless Liars, How Trump Defeated the Legacy Media and Made Them Irrelevant. And it's available on Amazon. And we've got some super chats. This is, you know how Elon Musk was talking about the feedback loop. You need a positive feedback loop. This is the positive feedback loop. You give us a super chat, and then at the end of the show, we read your super chat. We get the super chat, you get the recognition and private interaction or exclusive interaction with me and your comment. That's a feedback loop. Thank you, Elon Musk. We are operating in a DOGE-friendly environment. Angela, our angel with the regular super chats. Good Lord, Angela. You are so generous. Thank you so much. Yesterday in D.C., POTUS executive orders freed prisoners. Insane Dems, potty mouths, dying dogs, barking anthem. Please tell me someone is making midterm ads. Oh, boy, I sure hope so, because they're giving us gold in just the 3 weeks, Angela. And it's right. You kind of summed up our show there with that super chat. X Musk 2058. Well, you're going to have to amend the Constitution, and it might take 25 years to do that. But yeah, he is not a naturally born citizen. But thank you for that $2 super chat, Angela, our favorite angel there. And another $5 super chat from Angela. Congress gave money for weapons for Israel. Money and weapons for Israel. Biden withheld it. Biden ignored SCOTUS on loans. Maybe I missed it. Where was the outrage of a judge's rogue orders? Oh, thank you very much. We can add that to the list of things that Democrats openly bragged about defying judges over. It's all a phony, fake, completely manufactured non-controversy. But you know what the tell is? You know that it's a manufactured fake non-controversy when it leads Jake Tapper's show and Morning Joke on MSNBC. Thank you for that, Angela. What a sweetheart you are. Susan Shellett, they're in the Netherlands with €6. You need a warning before you start these vids. Warning, screeching harpies, protect your ears. You know, I almost did. Honestly, they're so bad. Can I just, I think the best one here, one more time. Just one more time for old time's sake.
We do have to, I don't swear in public very well, but we have to fuck Trump.
It's just so good. I said, Kevin, are you like me? You see these videos and say, well, I know what we're doing tomorrow. I mean, it's just perfect. Oh, what's my cable doing there? Thank you, Susan. We will. Maybe we should do some warnings before we start these videos. I do that on my radio show now. If ever I have to play, I do a morning radio show every morning in Washington, D.C. Stream it. It's on WMAL.com. Whenever I play audio from Hillary Clinton now, I generally give a trigger warning. because that voice, there's something about it. NYC Moto Rider with some Korean symbols there. $10 super chat. Thank you. Hi, Larry. We don't need CNN. Whenever Scott Jennings, the liberal slayer, speaks on CNN, we give them credibility. Let CNN fade into irrelevance. You know what? It's interesting. I saw it. Who was it? Somebody was making that point earlier today. Oh, I think it was on Sean Spicer and Mark Halperin's morning meeting show on YouTube, where they said, conservative media needs to stop paying so much attention to what they're doing on CNN and MSNBC, build our own stories instead of constantly reacting to their stories. And I hear that. And I feel like we do a nice mix. We do build our own stories here, but we also, I think that the media needs to be reacted to. If the only way anyone ever watches CNN is in this setting, that's perfect, because we're here to mock them. We're here to expose who they are. And they have had decades and decades of an echo chamber before we were able to do what we do on a daily basis now, thanks to the democratization of news and video content here on the platform that you're watching right now. They owned all political commentary. The only television show that would mock and make fun of the news the way we do it was The Daily Show on Comedy Central, and 95% of that was left-wing making fun of conservative media. That's all they did, right? So I feel like we're equal time here. In the great and wonderful legacy and spirit of the amazing Rush Limbaugh, we don't need equal time. We are equal time. And we are contributing to finally talking back to those people who are in the echo chamber. But I take your point and I get it. Thank you for that. I really do sincerely mean that. Thank you. Are we good, Mr. Kevin? Are you okay in the snow? I feel like you need assistance. I know that you're not used to the kind of snow that we got here.
No, this is nothing. I'm local too. I'm used to this.
Are you? All right. Really? Are you at the office today?
No.
Did you stay home, Kevin?
Yeah.
Was it because of the snow?
It was because of the snow, but I think the clear reason is I just wanted the lazy day.
Amen, brother. I stayed home too. All right. Thank you all for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. In the meantime, my name is Larry O'Connor, and you can call me Larry.